Hello guys, I would like to introduce Fanis, but I will let him introduce himself. So Fanis actually was one of my professors during my MBA years at American University of Armenia. So he's a very excellent, I don't know, professor, specialist in marketing. If I'm not mistaken, you have also PhD in marketing, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah, so he has also academic background as well. But I will let you yourself to introduce you. And actually today he's going to talk about very interesting topic. It's about trust in business, and also it is somehow related to marketing. This is a very important topic, and now he's also teaching trust to bachelors, yes, at AUA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have one of the courses that exist in the world. There are 2-3 courses all in trust all over the world. So
Yeah.
we have one at AUA.
So please introduce you, and also let's start the topic. And also I would like to tell special thanks that you have time and you dedicated time to come here. I know it was very difficult to make this timing according to your schedule, because Fanis is leaving for Greece tomorrow, so he made this time to come here today. So you are lucky. Thank you.
Thank you too. I'm happy to be here because of Mariam. We see each other again. Although she was not so complimentary when she was my student. She was more challenging for me. But as she said, I have a background from family in Greece. I'm Greek, right? Family in Greece that was involved in business. My parents were business owners. And so I was used to business discussions at lunch when we'd get together, and I got very much into that very early. Eventually, this was a kind of natural path for me to choose that kind of education. And after my undergraduate studies in Greece, I went to the United States for my master, and then my doctorate, then my doctorate at the university, and eventually I returned to Greece because some time came that I have to decide where to go and where not to go, and decided to leave US and return home. And since then I've been involved with marketing, both as a consultant and as an educator, or trainer actually in seminars. I did seminars. These latter years, about 8 years now, it's my 8th year. I'm here in Yerevan, and I'm teaching at AUA, which I find a very nice environment and a very educationally positive environment. And I definitely recommend it. Now, how I got involved in trust, because I'm a marketing specialist. My doctorate is in marketing, in fact, in consumer behavior. And one thing I noticed, and the one thing that I started noticing more and more, is that a large number of costs and quality of life and growth in capital, right? In the money that made in a country, right? The wealth of a country is highly related to trust. I'll tell you a very simple, crazy example. In UK, this huge country that was an empire, in the 50s and 60s, if you wanted to buy, let's say, a refrigerator, you would go to the shop that sold refrigerators, make the deal, and you say, I don't have to pay in cash. Can I pay on a layaway plan, which means, let's say, £100 a day, a week? I said, sure. So they made an agreement, write a little piece of paper, and the guy would go and pay every month £100 to the store. No contract, no nothing, no guarantees, no nothing. This is a very cheap process. It's a very safe process. It's a very good process. Today, this is unthinkable. Because then there were mechanisms of trust that worked, and now there are mechanisms of trust that are different or don't work. Another thing that really started bothering me a lot is when I met new people and they asked me, what do you do? I said, I'm a marketeer. I was getting two reactions. One was super, this is very exciting, tell us about it, etc. etc. That was one thing. The other thing I would get is, you are the one that make people buy things they don't want. You are the ones that create needs. You are the hired guns of the company. Which to a large extent is true. It just doesn't have to do with marketing. It has to do with the people, how they use marketing. Because marketing, indeed, it is a very powerful tool. As is, a surgeon, right? It's a very powerful ability that has science in its hands. The issue is whether you do it right. Same thing with marketing, is the issue whether you do it right. And there is really a gap of trust and mistrust in our effort and the work we do. And that started getting me thinking, what is the role of trust in our lives and in our profession? Now, we all arrived here, all of us arrived here about the same time. We all came from different, far away, relatively places. And for me, it was half an hour with a taxi. And we had very little doubt that we would meet here, all of us. We had not much doubt about that. We didn't have doubt that, our organization would be proper. They would open the door. We get into a building that most probably won't collapse while we're here. We know nobody here, right, the entrance, who built this building, what materials they use, and we blindly trust everything. You start 45 minutes away to come to a place you don't even know me. The probability of me not being here should be high. And in your minds, it's like zero. Of course you'll be here. That's blind trust. That's incredible trust. In fact, every step we take, every breath we make, is based on trust. We trust. The taxi we order, we trust they'll come. We trust they know how to drive, we trust they know how to get there. So trust is breathing our life. Trust, in fact, is the foundation, the network where all our society, everything you see around it sits. This is what's holding it up. This is what's holding these buildings here. This is what's holding our legislation here. This is what's holding our hospitals. This is what's holding our love between us here. This is it. And when we say there's no trust, we mean trust went down a little bit or more. When we say I trust someone a lot, trust went up a little. And these moves up and down do make a huge difference. But I want us to start thinking, we are breathing trust every second of our lives. It's not something negotiable. We need it like the air. In fact, as a species, we are here together feeling more superior than every other species because of one reason. It's one thing the human species can do that the other species cannot. Can cooperate, big time cooperate. Not like the lions cooperate in hunting, big time cooperation. Monkeys, for example, do cooperate when they're in a group. But these groups cannot be larger than 150 people, 150 chimpanzees, for example, because they don't know each other, so they can't trust each other. We have managed to trust internationally, to have 7 billion people basically trusting each other. We can get in a plane, get off in Beijing, take our drum or our dollars out, go somewhere, give it to someone, they'll give us things. They'll give us a place to sleep. They don't even know us. They don't even know our country. So much blind trust exists, and that's how we made that. So everything we do sits on this trust. Now, I want you to take you to an event that happened about more than 10 years ago and it's the 9/11 event when terrorists hit the Twin Towers in New York and 4 more other places. In fact, that day I was online, was with the stock market in the US, and it wasn't starting. It was 4 o'clock in Greece. Up there it was in the morning, it wasn't starting. I didn't know why it wasn't starting. Usually it starts at on time. And was that what happened? I don't know, of course you don't remember, but in the news, if you've seen videos and that, there was a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of things, a lot of sorrow in families, in everywhere. Panic all over the world. The world is collapsing. And in the middle of all this, we seem to not paying attention to another huge victim that day. Didn't think of much of it that day. And that other victim was trust. Just because of that event, trust was reduced tragically in a way. I'll give you one number, only one number, what it costs us, that change of trust in our society, in our world. The security upgrade, the way they change security to prevent possible such events happening, only for the US airports, only US airports, not in Greece, not in Armenia, not in France. And only the airports, not the other security systems, cost $7.3 billion every year since then, 2020. $7.3 billion every year. So trust costs, and trust is money at the end. And I'll tell you a little bit in what ways trust is money. Trust is money because money on its own, is a piece of paper. Has no real value. I mean, what am I going to do with a piece of paper? I give you 10 kilos of tomatoes and you give me a piece of paper. Is that a joke? What are we doing here, right? But it doesn't work that way. We know that. Because there is huge trust that everyone has agreed, all of us here and out there have agreed that if someone gives us this, we will take it. And we can give it to another. We made a trust agreement on how to use currency. That works sometimes it has problems, but that's why we have crises. That's why during wars, currency is not accepted anymore because it loses its reliability. But it has been created, this huge agreement of trust on a specific thing that we have dollar in the screen that will come out soon, and it's the dollar, for example, as in every currency. And this, interestingly, the dollar writes on it, in God we trust this piece of paper. Okay? So, trust is not only the finder, it's also the money we are using and the money we are exchanging things with. I want to take it one step further. Look at another thing. I've set a dilemma. You have a company, and you have 2 choices. Let's say I'm a wizard now, give you a gift. Give you 2 choices, you choose one. I can give you $100,000 to invest in the company, or I can give you a loyal clientele of 10,000 people. Pick 10,000 people that trust you, trust your company. Trust you. What would you choose?
Second.
The people. Trust the people. you will choose the trust that you have gained against the people. So in that interpretation and in that way, when we look at that, trust is another way of making money. It is another way of exchanging with others. A story that happened here in Armenia, I'm not going to go into details, but a big telecompany broke into two. The ownership decided to break. So half kept the company, the other half left the company. When they left the company, 500 employees out of 2,000, 500 employees contacted them and tell them, we want to come with you. They didn't have a company. They were thinking of maybe opening again another one. 500 people want to come with you. From those 500 people, they responded, we cannot pay you a salary right now. We don't have a company running. We expected it was spring, we expected it to happen in the fall, September. We expected it to launch. Until there, we cannot pay. They said, okay, no problem, we'll wait. So they paid some, they hired some, they helped the others. Eventually, they started September with these 500 people. Let's think a little bit. What would it cost if they had to hire 500 people, train them, take them through screening, and creating also a bonding and a net within this group that will make them work efficiently. Not only know your work, but work efficiently also. And efficiently you work when you know what the other person is doing well. You don't know exactly what the other person is, you're not efficient. We made a conservative calculation, and the amount for this is $3 million. So $3 million is the value of trust for this company. When we compare cash money versus trust money, there are advantages and disadvantages on both sides. But cash money is more easy to get around to anybody, where trust relates to specific people. But also, if you go bankrupt, you don't have money. Therefore, you cannot engage with people. If you go bankrupt and you're trusted, trust stays there. People will accept you again. I'm not going to go far. I'll go very far. I'm going to President Trump, right? When I was in the States, Trump was a businessman, nothing to do with politics back then. And I followed him for some reason, and I followed him because he was very loud, actually, and I kept seeing him everywhere. He was in the real estate business, as always. He went bankrupt. He went bankrupt, and I said, because I was studying business, right, marketing, and I was looking at the way he was doing things. He was not persuading me he's a real organized and targeted businessman. He seemed to me like a person that's more flamboyant, more doing things, a little bit unorganized. So I expect to see if he's going to make it or crash. And he crashed. I said, Theofanis, you have it, man. You know. He came back. With zero money, he came back. Because he went to the banks, he had a slide of presentations, he had a plan. He said, I'm going to make the deal with them, bring them there, you give me the loan, we'll do this, you have guarantee of the land, etc., etc. He got through. I'm trying to get a loan in my bank. I have zero mistakes, and in Greece, when we had the crisis, they wouldn't touch it. I said, I have guarantees, we don't give loans. Okay? So trust, in this case, in the example of Trump, is something that is very evident how he went bankrupt, and this is what, in a way, we can say that trust money is weatherproof. Real money is not. When the storm hits, real money disappears. When trust is there, real money do not disappear. And the reason I'm saying all these things is because we treat trust a little bit like a cute thing. It's nice to have it. we trust each other. We love each other, we smile to each other. It's nice to see you. I trust you. Trust is much more serious than this. Trust, as I said before, is the air we breathe. It really, everything, the network, when this society sits, it's on trust totally. And additionally to that, it is the element that creates our life and our business environment, very much so. And we need to start thinking of trust as equity. The same way you buy land, you invest in training, you have a building, you get a loan from the bank, and you create equity in your business. And the whole purpose is to increase the equity in the business. In the same way, you need to create in your business an environment that leads to increasing the trust. Because a company that has a lot of trusted, loyal, i.e. customers, has a different value than a company that doesn't, regardless of the revenue. In fact, now when they buy companies and sell companies, they don't take that factor into, it's not integrated in the finance. But it should be integrated. Now, let's go a little bit into more internal parts in the company. Okay? In leadership. What is leadership? Help me. What is leadership?
Leading people.
Excuse me?
Leading people.
Yes. And the shepherd leads, right? The cows and the sheep.
Yes. Showing
Right.
the pet.
But there's a different way of leading, right?
Yes.
It's a little bit different
Yeah.
from the shepherd, right? Who has the dogs around.
Yes.
Right. But I'm asking you, what's the element that makes leadership happen?
Trusting them.
Yes, of course. Trusting
Power.
them.
Maybe emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence, which means you can feel them,
Yeah,
you can understand the people.
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe the past you have, like you got through.
Yeah. Background that you.
Because after that you can only like understand the person. That's just a part of it.
Yes.
For me.
And what's the difference between leadership and management?
Oh,
What's the difference between leadership and management? Just brainstorm. There are no right or wrong answers, so brainstorm.
In leadership, people follow you. In management, you ask people what to do.
Okay, beautiful. So in leadership, they follow me, right? Or they follow you, or follow the leader. When in management, I tell them what to do, I help them, I control, I monitor. I'm doing a little bit the shepherd style, a little bit.
the
Okay.
leadership maybe is a communication also.
What?
Like a good leader needs to communicate well, like communication skills.
To communicate well.
Yes.
Beautiful. And this, so the ability to communicate, the ability to sense what people want, and the ability to have a dream, right? To have a vision to
Yes.
share. And leadership also has to do with setting the vision, doing the communication, and people do it on their own. You don't manage them. Martin Luther King did not manage 3 million people when they gathered together to his speeches, right? He didn't even know them. So they trusted what he said. They trusted he wouldn't betray them. They trusted that he would give them the right advice. And they trusted that he had benevolence in his mind. They trusted all that, all these million of people. And the question is, how did they come to trust him? And there is the way to start the leadership and to get people to trust you, because when you engage in a trip, there is a risk involved. Right? If we're going to get somewhere, if you want to start a new company, break the company, the example I gave before, and start a new company, competitive to my company, I'm taking a risk. This may fail, clearly. There are good possibilities and probabilities that will fail. But I'm willing as an entrepreneur to take that chance, and you're willing as people that trust me to take that chance with me. So in the example of Martin Luther King was taking the risk first. The assumption of risk was in him first. The leader must be the first to die when the problem occurs. Because that immediately states that I can trust someone that takes this risk before me. Trust has to do with vulnerability, exposing vulnerability, which means it has to do with strength. I'm coming here unarmed. I'm coming to see you unarmed. And that makes you think that I have nothing against you. That makes you think I have things good to offer you. That makes you think that you can trust. So trust is very much related to risk. And it's related to assuming risk every time we engage in trust. Okay? So any person you see, and you say, well, I don't trust them. Well, if you trust them, most probably they won't trust you. Because the vibes you're giving, your behavior is of that nature. True story. My cousin in Athens, I was back then in Thessaloniki, was getting a divorce with her husband. They were working in the same company, there were financial issues, someone was getting money, the other wasn't, etc. The company. They had one daughter, hell was broke loose. They couldn't resolve issues, they couldn't move forward. Actually, my cousin was not the sweetest person in the world, she could get really edgy with things. So things were very nasty. So she comes up to Thessaloniki. She stays at my sister's house. One day she calls, says, why didn't you come over and see you? Then we started talking about the divorce, and she came actually to Thessaloniki to get away from me. And she tried to tell me all the story, and I said, well, this is a dead end. Nobody trusts each other. Everybody has pulled their guns, and everybody's shooting. That's the situation. How do you break that? I said, go back, tell him, I trust you totally. Whatever you propose, I'll expect. I'll accept. I'll accept anything you propose. Because that's the problem with this. You propose something, I propose something different. I don't accept yours, you don't do. That's divorces, that's what about. She kind of discussed, she didn't respect. 3 months later, she called me. She says, I did it, and it worked. I said, what happened? She said, we resolved our problems. I said, what happened? And I told him that, and he said, I can't believe we're fighting the two of us. We are so much in love with each other, or where is that? We will resolve this. And they resolved it like that, and it was over. But what did she do? She went naked and exposed all herself and took all her risk. That has two things. It has this risk assumption that I'm not afraid, I'm okay, I'm a woman. It also has transparency. You see through me. So in that sense, trust has this element. Every time you tend to trust somebody, you take a risk. There's no other way to trust somebody. You have to take a risk. Assume they're going to show up. Assume they'll meet you. Assume they do that. Assume they're benevolent. And I want to think that all of us have two sides. We all can be nasty, and we can all be sweet. We can all be positive and benevolent, and we all can be as difficult as hell. And we need both sides, right, to survive. We do. Which means that people are not bad or good exactly. It's which side comes out when we engage them. Mm-hmm. And that's why when we take a risk and we expose ourselves and we see them in a benevolent way, quite often their benevolent side will emerge. And all of a sudden, we have made a cooperation. all of a sudden we created value. All of a sudden we created opportunities. I was, as I said, I was born in Greece, and I would say I was quite defensive, younger, much younger than now. I was like, I wanted people not to treat me, not to think they're smarter than me. I would play defensive ball, and socially and business-wise. So something happened. Now my father was a self-made, very successful businessman, at the largest wholesale company in Greece in terms of electrical appliances. Only the factories were bigger than him. He had his own brand, etc. Anyway, he was a very intelligent and successful man. So he saw me. There was some discussion, and he saw that. He says, I say, you have to assume that people are trustworthy. When they don't trust them, when you don't trust them, every door is closed. That's so true. Think of it. Every time you say, no, I'm not going to start a cooperation with you because, I don't have 100 proofs that you're perfect. I have only 30. And what about the rest? I'm not sure 100%. I have to be 100%. You trust someone when you see them 100% perfect. All doors are closed. We're living in our bedroom, in our living room, not daring to go out. Where the other situation is the opposite. You open all these doors, and some doors you're going to crash. No two ways about it. But crash is always a lesson. Crash has wisdom. Crash has maturity, psychological and mental. And non-crash has fun, love, money. So it's good to play the game of life and keep the doors open. I'll say also that this has to do a lot with our worldview. The way you approach risk and the way we adopt and use trust relates to a large extent with our worldview. And the worldview all over the world, the worldview that exists out there, basically is of two kinds. The one is, the world is like a pizza. Imagine the world being a pizza. And we're all sitting, as we are here around the table, and we have the pizza in the middle. We said, let's cut it an equal piece so everybody gets an equal piece. And you're thinking that, I'm hungry. Actually, I worked more to get the pizza here. I deserve 2 pieces. The moment you have 2 pieces, someone else is going to have a piece less, right? So this makes us all to be competing from the same limited resource. So many pizza slices, we'll have to fight for them. And in fact, the world was structured like this for a long time. If you read Thucydides, the first historian talking about the battle, the war between Sparta and Athens, and the wars in general, he always talks about resources. All wars were about resources. Not ideology, not this, not that, resources, period, which is money. Now, there's another worldview that says the world is like a huge park where the more we cooperate, you can make more tomatoes, more fruit, more vegetables. The more we cooperate, we can plant at night, we can plant at day, we can do more things, we can think of different solutions, and therefore this pizza becomes larger and larger and larger. So we don't have a fixed pizza, we have a pizza that we can enlarge. And that's an environment where it says we need to cooperate, which means we need to trust each other, which means we take a leap of faith, assume risk. Where the other mentality has, I don't assume risk. So this is the worldview. You see the world as a pizza, or you see the world as an open opportunity to make more. The truth is, up to the 1800s, there was not much opportunity to make a larger pizza because production depended on land, how much you could plant in a land, and how many people you had to do it. That's why there were slaves, and that's why all these things. And depending on that, of course, is who could take more land from the other. That's why, I mean, the peasants in the countryside that have, animals and land, don't really need a neighbor. The neighbor most probably will do damage, either take part of his land or take part of his land. Don't need it. But once you go to a city, you can only do one profession, you're a doctor. You can't find food, you can't paint the walls, you can't rebuild the house, you can't do many things. So the specialization in the cities made the cooperation unavoidable. Therefore the trust, therefore the blind trust also. Okay? And this situation also became much stronger by technology. All of a sudden to cooperate, and you know IT, I know marketing, you know psychology, we could do miracles. And this complexity that created in our society makes that pizza to become as large, and we see it every day, as it can be. And that immediately screams cooperation. And that's what happened after World War II. We're trying to cooperate internationally, all the countries, and that's why you see China doing business with US, where they were enemies. Russia doing business with the US, and we were enemies. Russia was doing business with China. I mean, everybody was enemy. Now, and Europe started that first. It said there's no concept in having war between us. We need to find a way to become enemies, become friends. And that means we start to trade each other, which means optimize and make a more larger pizza. And that's what Europe did. So it is a thing of our times, but it is also worldly. Do I see the world as an open place willing to welcome me, or I don't? So leadership has to do very much with that thing. Looking at a world that can be a larger pizza and taking the step in that direction and sharing the trust with everybody and creating the trust they have on you. Let's talk a little bit about companies and the role of marketing in companies, and we'll try to relate that with us. Because here you're my main interest in marketing. Am I right? Okay. We have the company, right? And marketing has a role in the company. What is the role of marketing in the company? Company has other departments, a finance department, an accounting department, has production department, has different departments. What is the role of marketing in the company? That's a real question. What does marketing do in a company?
Generally, the goal is to bring traffic.
Bring traffic. What? Talk a little louder. Very loudly, very loudly.
To bring new customers.
Bring new customers. See, that's why they accuse us of being predatory, to bring new customers in, whether they want it or not. Just bring them in. I'll give you my worldview of what, it's not only mine, of course, but my worldview. The company has 5 functions really. It has finance, it has production, as we said, it has accounting, it has human resources management, information technology, information management, it has all these things. And it also has marketing. All these things are used to produce the right product, the thing people need. But who's gonna tell them what the people need? Marketing is gonna tell them. Everything starts from marketing. Marketing is going to tell you precisely what people need, and then all the rest are support to deliver that thing. So marketing is a mechanism of creating value. Creating value by having the things, the resources you have. For some people, you create something, but for some people, it's very valuable. And that's the thing, to be able to make that bridge. Because think of a country that doesn't know how many hospitals it should be, how many pizzerias it should be, and how many pairs of shoes it should be. You go bankrupt. The whole value in this country we live in is optimizing, knowing what kind of value to create and how much. And the only science that focuses exactly on that, how to create value for the consumer, is marketing. So marketing has that role, creating value. And of course, to create value, you have to be able to deliver that value. And that is to do with trust. Because I'm not going to buy a car from someone I don't trust. And I'm not going to go to a doctor I don't trust. And how we tend to understand trust and create trust through the marketing process and through the company is a whole thing that needs to be challenged. For example, you want to try a new application. This is this new application that has started, or an old application. I did with Adobe, for example. Why don't I register? They said, okay, 3 months for free. First month for free, then so much. You know now, first thing that's suspicious, they tell you you need to register your credit card. But it's like, I thought you said for free. Yes, we're not going to charge it, but if you change your mind, we'll be ready. But that immediately is a little alarm, right? Now, what happens after that? They never inform you that this end of the month, some companies inform you, send you one email, but usually they don't inform you that at the end of the month you have to be withdraw your application, otherwise you'll be charged. And when that happens, quite often people are not thinking about it, right? They forgot the deadline, they forgot this, they forgot that. So for me, when I did that, and then I wanted to resign, they said, I had to pay a whole 2 years of the contract that supposedly I engaged in. So, although they send you 10 messages to persuade you to take a free registration, they don't send any, or maybe they send one, to remind you that the time is over. And from now on, we'll be charging. Now, that's not a marketing trust mechanism. That doesn't create trust. That creates an environment that you look at it and you say, maybe. They're waiting for you. And this, to a large extent, happened because of the automation we have through design. And I'll tell you, and that immediately changes the way trust works. And I'll give you the following example to see how different that is. Let's say it's late at night. You're on your way back home, you're a bit thirsty. You see there is a vending machine. So let me go get something refreshing. You go to the vending machine, you see there is a cola there, you put your coin in, you press the button for the cola. Nothing comes out. Press the button again, nothing comes out. You press the button 3 times, nothing comes out. You press the button to get the coin back, nothing comes out. It's not only that you're not going to have the cola, it's also that you lose the coin, right? Let's say $1, $2. So what do? You either go home, or you go like this, and then you go home, just to feel a little bit better. Same thing, same place, same time. You walk in the street, you look that way, you see a light. You go there, it's a small supermarket, mini market. You walk in there, you see the guy behind the cashier waiting there, late at night, alone. You throw a coin, you say, man, I want a cola, I'm very thirsty, I need it. He looks at you, he looks in the sky, he takes the coin, he throws it, closes the cashier, he looks like that, he looks like that. Say, man, my cola, I gave you $2, my cola. Calls on the phone, starts talking on the phone. You say, man, my cola. Then you say, apparently you don't have cola, so I don't want any other, just give me the money back. No, he's on the phone. What do? Do you walk out? Do you kick the table and walk out?
No.
What do you call the police or grab him by the throat or whatever other crazy thing? We cannot even think that this can happen. We can go into a mini market, we give them a coin, and they may keep the coin in our face, looking at us. And saying, this is not going to, I'm not going to give you money back, and I'm not going to give you the coin. We accept that in the misfunction, maybe malfunction, of the vending machine. That they have no mechanism to press a button. They have no mechanism to trust you that indeed you lost the coin. Then they don't have the flexibility of understanding a situation, empathy, and therefore understanding the emotion. The program never understands emotion. So all these things have moved a little bit to optimizing cost, transferring the work. I mean, you go to an airline, right? You want to book an airline. In the past, you'd call a travel agency, I want answers, there are these 3 flights, this is the price. Okay, I'll buy it, I'll send it, I'll come pick it up, whatever. Now this job, or you call the airline, right? Now this job has been transferred to us. We are the persons that are going to find the flight. We are the persons that are going to make the agreement. We are the persons that are going to put the information. So cost has been transferred to us. You should be getting lower prices. But when you look at Amazon, when the books became digital, the prices didn't fall down. Digital books is 0 cost. What cost is a digital? Nothing. It's the cost of writing. It's the cost of having a little bit, posting it and running some. Why the price is practically the same? Practically the same, $1, $2 difference. Sometimes not even that. Sometimes it's more expensive. Why? Nothing. They find an opportunity that they can do that. But that affects trust. It's obvious to me what they're doing. And they're taking the advantage of the monopoly. So we need to get away of that automated, predatory in a way, pricing. And predatory value is, call my bank. It says, if you're calling for this, and for that, only online. What if I'm not capable to do online? What if I don't know what to do this? Only online, we don't care. It took me 10 minutes to get to the right employee after waiting the ringing. 10 minutes on top of that. Do they respect my time? Do I work? I work. When I spend 10 minutes with them, 10 minutes with the other, do they respect my money? No. Can I trust them if they do that? No, I cannot. So there is a thing that with this technology and these issues, marketing is accused for these reasons. And it is accused because it creates value on one component, and on the support component, it gives you nothing. Okay? It transfers the cost to you. And that creates a mistrust. Right? These are, as I like to call it, it's polluting trust. Such behaviors, little things that happen every day. Another simple example. Every day, try to count how many times an interaction with a company either forces you to do the work or tries to trick you in the work. Very simple, ridiculous stuff. I like playing backgammon. There's an application that plays backgammon with people. It's not automated. Once I registered with my Facebook, and then I stopped being registered with my Facebook, and I was like anonymously registered, which is an option. They realized it was me, so they started telling me, you know, register with your Facebook, close this account, get your Facebook back. Because they get money from me when I have my Facebook. Now, it's been 3 years since this has happened, and for 3 years, every time I log in, they bring this sign in front of me. Every time. Why are they doing that? And every time I have to close it. And of course, it's a small button that you close it. If you make a mistake, it opens. So why are they doing it? Right? Why are they putting me under this pressure? Right, all the time. Why they're expecting for me to make a mistake or be tired once and say, okay, forget it, I'll do it. This is war now, right? And all these things accumulate, and all these things make marketing to be difficult. I'll tell you what. You want loyalty, you want long-term engagement with clients, you want repeat engagement, you want to be able to start a new product and be accepted because they trust you in that move. You have to build trust by making that value not fake. When Adobe comes to me and he tells me, you know, you can take this, there's a fake story in there. Basically, they'll trap me to pay at the end.
But actually, it's not marketing; it's cheating. Just for me, like people sometimes confuse marketing. For example, especially here in Armenia, like they are watching some advertisings or some content, like it's written something, and they are telling like I'm a victim of marketing and I bought it. Actually, no, because if you felt that you need it or you want it, it's not about being a victim. So, and the second one, so if somebody just making the trap, you know, that you go there and pay for something, or they are showing that this is a very durable glass, but actually it's not totally so. It can be just be broken if I put it on the table. It's not about the part of the marketing. It's like cheating people, not telling the truth. So I am not totally agree that this kind of cheating or making it fake world is connected to their marketing strategy.
You're very right, and that's what, you know, we start the discussion by this, that marketing in its own is a very powerful science and get the results done. This is how you use that. You use to kind of manhandle and manipulate people into decisions they don't really need, or do you use it to, you know, create very useful value?
Yeah.
And when that happens, this description I gave, when they transfer the cost to the consumer, the value decreases. Because marketing at the end of the day it is marketing because it has to do with delivered value. Anything that has to do with delivered value, it sits on marketing. It's a marketing decision. Implementation may be at the factory, finance may be executing the pricing process, but the picture of this thing, how the value is delivered, is all part of the marketing. So in that sense, that's why we were talking about this, because all this distrust creation affects value perception and value reality. They increase my cost. So in that sense, we need to switch into delivering real value. If you do not get into the mode that I have to offer real value, then you're by default in the mode that, you know, I have to somehow manipulate and therefore create distrust, which is going to be short-term.
Yeah. But can I just say
Please,
one
please.
thing? Actually, yes, trust matters in the first maybe impression, but you know that people, we all are emotional creatures, so we are making our choices based on our emotions. For example, if you are entering a supermarket or anywhere, you are buying something you don't know, perhaps you know, if it is the first time especially, you are making emotional choice. Perhaps you have seen it somewhere from some influencers, some friends, or somewhere on the billboard, etc., etc. But first impression is kind of it's too emotional. So it's now a question for me whether it's trust or totally emotion, because I saw this. So I saw this hair oil. I love the style, so I bought it. Actually, I'm not trusting it at first attempt. So I just liked it. Maybe if I use it and I see some results, or maybe I don't see results, now we can talk about the trust. But in my opinion, the first, like the engagement from the consumer with the brand, maybe the first impression is totally emotional.
Often.
But maybe you are seeing a text on it,
Yeah.
which says this will heal your hair,
Yeah.
and you trust the text written in it, and you buy it.
Basically.
Maybe, but again, it's emotional. Because you are making, even you are not thinking, so it's not totally rational. So because when I'm making experiments with my students, for example, if I'm asking why they are just why they have selected this or that brand, all their answers are emotional. Maybe even though, for example, I'm a MacBook user, I can tell about myself. I'm Apple user. I'm addicted to Apple, like many people. I know I'm a marketeer and I'm in it, but for example, the issue that I had with my MacBook Pro actually disappointed me totally, because it was maybe 2 or years old. It was working perfectly, and one day the screen didn't work at all. So I revealed that when I'm pouring this kind of what it is called, this solution to clean this desktop, it appears that these new MacBooks have this type of issues. They are very delicate, so you needed them to put it. You should just only use dry cloth, etc. So when I went to Apple Store and I told them, they were like impressed with this issue, and I was very, very angry, because you are paying a bunch of money for something, and you cannot even use it for 2 years. So my trust level, of course, went down by making the second choice. But again, I went and I traded and I bought a new MacBook. So here, when I'm just like making this, I'm analyzing this all situations. If I'm a marketer, I can understand it, but the average consumer cannot understand it. Absolutely, I'm pretty sure. So what's happening? Actually, my engagement, my emotional engagement with this brand, with this product, is much stronger than any trust issues I can have in my mind. If we are talking about, I think, with brands. The same I cannot say about people and about specialists, because if you ask somebody, if you are going to a doctor and doctor prescribes you something wrong, I don't know, or something, and you are just making research, and you can understand, like, doctor hasn't asked you much questions about yourself, maybe you have allergies with this medicine, etc., and yes, you have trust issues there. Second time you won't go to the doctor. But related to the brands nowadays, that many brands are working, I think that they are much concentrated on making this emotion, because when people are engaged too much with emotions, maybe if even they are failing, I don't know, it's also a question for me, whether they are stopping using it based on their trust issues or not. For example, I'm analyzing why I haven't stopped using this MacBook, because every year I'm not going to pay like $1,500 for this computer.
Okay. What you say, I mean, it's very true. You have to look at it. You do, as we said, trust is everywhere. We trust every day. There's a level of trust we trust. And when you think of trust as being more, I trust someone more or less. Trust is not high level or low level, high quantity, low quality. It's not that way. It doesn't work that way. trust works in terms of boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, I know you like 1 month and then I know you 5 months, and things are pretty good in our professional relationship and everything, and my trust increases. I trust you more. I trust you more, what does that mean? The boundaries, the things I trust are larger, okay? So we trust you for participating in a seminar, now I trust you to organize a seminar. So that creates the boundaries. So it doesn't mean that the example you gave with a specific company, your trust totally collapsed. It was decreased, the boundaries changed. You say all of a sudden, well, they're not as perfect as I thought. But you do have a level of trust because of their experience. And the other element that you have that's critical about trust, and everything has to do with trust, is familiarity. The familiarity builds trust by default.
Yes, yes.
That's one reason why the advertising repetition in some products is so high. They bring it again and again and again because we get familiarity, we get also top of mind awareness, but we also get the familiarity. That's the reason that chimpanzees cannot go over 150 people, because they can't be familiar with more than 150 chimpanzees. We have a range, but we as a society substitute that trust mechanism with other methods, right? Like we said, the agreements we have, the legislation we have, the professionalism we have, all these things, right? We use them to substitute this limitation. So of course, when you have that familiarity. And the other thing, we're not talking about effectiveness here in sales, per se. We're talking about loyalty and equity and value, which means if you buy the same computer and they respond to this, when that happens, for example, I'm asking you, what was the situation when that happened?
Well, actually,
When black, what happened?
it still didn't work.
Yeah, what happened with the company?
With the company, actually nothing.
You didn't call them and say this thing crashed?
Yes, but the one and only thing that they told me when I just went to SF, and that actually my second one had another problem. So this was something very like all.
Let's do that. You called them and what?
And I told them that this happened to me. They are they have a very really good friendly staff. They told me if you have used any kind of solution for the screen, that you shouldn't ever and ever pour it on your screen. So you should pour it on some kind of cloth.
Anyway.
So okay, we can just take it. They told me that we can take it, but if it is also out of warranty, you should pay for it. And the amount was high for only for one screen. It was more than $500. So I told okay, buy a new one.
So all right. So you bought it. It went to that point, and that was the reaction. Now, if the reaction was this, well, we are really sorry, this is unbelievable, we'll definitely take a look at it and we'll try to do the best. And they really respond, you take it with a courier, they look at it, and whatever, they provide the solution that to you is acceptable. They demonstrate their interest to create equity with you.
Mm-hmm.
Would that increase or decrease your trust? Most probably increase, because they stand behind the product, they're supportive in service as well, not only the product. Okay? So this company, okay, you buy from them again, but what's the equity they have of you? Each of you may be coming to the seminar, right? Today. And some of you may enjoy it, some of you not, so whatever. You're here anyway, nobody's living halfway in the seminar, right? But the issue is, tomorrow, how much are you willing to come and listen to another topic we'll be doing here? And how much are you willing, and how much, and how much, and how much, and how much? Today, everybody's here. This is tomorrow, how fast you come, or how slow. What price are you willing to pay, and are you happy with it? Or are you paying a price and you're not happy with it? So that's what we're saying about the value that creates through trust. It has to do with that. Because when you trust someone, price becomes a little bit irrelevant if the value is good. Because safety is so precious that basically has no price. Safety in any way, in any form. the fiber of safety is trust. Trust that works, of course. And there is a reason we say trust takes time to build. There is a reason. It takes time to build because it's a leap of faith. It's an assumption, assuming risk. Okay? And by that, this is what happens. Okay? I said a lot of things. There are more, I have some my notes here, more to say. I'll say one last thing about the companies, and then we can open a more open discussion, both at the personal level and the corporate level. One last thing, that companies have this huge component that has value that's called trust, right? And it has to do, trust is at 3 levels. It's within the company, it's with the employees, it's trust in the vision and mission of the company, and it's trust of the customers. 3 equity components. When these 3 are high, you have money in the customers. This is like cash. You have, when you have internal trust in the employees, you're resilient. Problems happen, things go wrong, they'll stay, they'll fight. They won't leave their positions because they trust the environment, something wrong will fix. And of course, the purpose of the company, that it's an honest company, has clear purposes, it can be survive and do this. So these 3 things that create huge equity are not managed, are not organized, do not have a budget. There is no department managing this, and there is no training about it. It's crazy. I think in the future, people will look at this and they look back there. They didn't count for trust. 0 in their equity measurement. And we need also to understand that this equity that is not being measured doesn't show anything. Smart people only use it. But also, we also need to realize that trust cannot only be managed. It has to be in the DNA, it has to be in the philosophy of the group. They have to see the world as an open pizza and not as a closed pizza. You can't go and make an ad and sell a product. You can't make an ad and build trust. Because trust will show itself, like it happened with Facebook, right? Because they were showing that they were very careful about things, but they weren't. Johnson & Johnson. Trust needs to be a philosophy, a value, a belief of the company itself, in its DNA. That's when it's going to really work. You can't just manage it as an advertising asset. I think enough about trust. Maybe we'll get into some questions.
Just 1 second, please.
Okay. So I have a question. Does company need to have a special department of trust, or it's within the marketing department? So it's just a specialist or a department?
No, it's department.
It's department.
This department, because it has to do with the whole function of the company, right? It has to do with training the people, with creating products that are trust-based, creating interactions, delivery, pricing. Trust is a philosophy, it's a whole philosophy. I'll give you this example. In a company that I was recently, actually it's an university in another country, that they are like the AUA, American University, etc. They decided to have a harassment policy.
Mm-hmm.
Harassment policy. Harassment policy in these places means basically harassment of women by men. That's the basic thing.
Mm-hmm.
That immediately says, and everybody was obliged actually to take a test and pass the test and after they learn the theory, that, for example, I can tell you these things and I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to wear a nice dress today, me as a man. I cannot tell you that, because if I do that, I'll harass you. The moment you do these things, for example, the first thing you take, that company now is trying to build trust or not, they don't know about trust, what they're doing. The moment you do that and you're not a special, you don't have a department doing it, but you have the manager making that decision, say that's a good idea, let's do it. The moment that happens, you really weaponize trust. Trust becomes a weapon. Because arbitrarily, you can say, well, he's harassing me because he's telling me about my dress, or he's harassing me about this. You know what you can access without taking into account the situation, the human factor. It's like the vending machine, we say, right? There is a default thing that's gonna be wrong no matter what. So they're managing trust, they're trying to create a more trustful environment, when in fact they're creating a less trustful environment. Because all of a sudden you read the list and say, well, all these things they do to me are harassing. Right? All of a sudden, it increases the distrust. Right? Then I see you, and I'm afraid to say something because I don't know how you're going to use that, given the new legislation. So there's these things that happen everywhere, so they need to happen by a department that has a plan and a future and understanding the whole situation. It cannot be,
Okay, because I think within the employees, only within the employees, the trust, now HRs are doing it.
No, there's a corporate culture.
Yeah, like corporate
Because-
culture
yes.
and HRs are doing
Yes.
it in Armenia, especially, I think.
But
Like
actually,
building trust.
Yes, HRs, but they are actually working on internal. So the only thing that they are doing outside of the company is employee branding. They are somehow.
Yeah, I'm not talking outside of the company. I mean only the inside part. I think it's working on like HRs.
Yes, it depends
But
on HR.
we have here some. I just want to say something related to Inez's question. Yes, you're right. I actually would like to see that kind of department or that kind of specialist here in Armenia engaged in any organization. But I think it's creating trust, being very like human-centric, because it talks about somehow human centricity, because you are thinking that you are dealing with a human, not as a customer, like, or a business or something. Yeah, but it's a kind of value that the company, that the owner of the company, that the executive level, executive members of the company should adopt. If, for example, the company doesn't have this kind of value, even from the founder, yeah, it's becoming very challenging to adopt this type of environment. Why I'm telling this, because I have actually had this kind of experience to work more than maybe 10 companies or collaborate with them, and I saw I have seen only just few, so maybe a couple of them, that they are concentrated on it. And it's really pity, because if for example, the founder and the CEO is not taking care about to be human-centric, and he doesn't think about creating trust, so it's very difficult to persuade them, for example, to have this kind of specialist. Perhaps it should be a mass communication, or very trendy, to be a trendy level, yeah?
And that's why we said before, right, that trust cannot be applied unless you have the values and you really believe in it. You can have a trusting policy just to say you take your marketing department that's doing this classical, promotional, a bit manipulative advertising. Let's throw some ad on trust and say how we'll give some money to the poor and create some trust. It's not going to fly. It has to be in your genes. It has to be in the company genes. You have to believe in it. You can't do that without believing.
Yeah, you should believe.
Same thing with products, right? when you make a product and you don't believe in the product, you believe in the price it will get. You cut the quality there.
Mm-hmm.
You cut the packaging there. You cut the times you have it. I was involved in a company that wanted to. The concept was that they would show on television different cooking recipes and all that, and also have them available to sell them online, so deliver them at home. So we're looking at a catering company that would help us do the cooking, right? Have the recipes of the company, have do the cooking. So we went to four actually companies. One we went to, says, and he tells me, it was me and another, and the company owner too. He tells me, and don't worry, whatever's left over, you bring it back, and and we can sell it again. Great, great. This is a good thing to hear. But you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So when you think in that way, of course, but that's in the production, that's of course in trust too. And that was very accurate what you said. And that's the thing I bring out in my classes, the consumers. I say, let's not use the word consumer, let's use the word people.
Yeah.
Because the moment you say consumer, you lose the emotional part.
Yeah.
You see only the buying part and the selling part, and you get into a manipulative
Yeah.
exchange. Because he's a consumer. It's like an aeroplane. No, he's the pilot. It's not an airplane. He's the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
He's afraid he's gonna die. He's afraid he may be tired. He wants to see his wife. I mean, let's think about it. It's not an airplane. That's the same thing. Right, you're very right. So it's people. The moment you see them as people, the other thing happens. You know how they feel. You know what you would do. What would I do if I was in your shoes? And I treated me that way. Would I want that to happen? It's, I'm a strong believer in this. There are all these people that say, well, life is hard. No, you don't let them push you. You don't let them hurt you. You don't let them. That never happened to me. Never. Because I make the mistakes in my life too, but whenever I'm open, clear cut, everything opens for me. Go there, tell them the most crazy thing, but it's true. It's so true. And you tell them, okay, they listen to you. The doors will be open because they see element of trust. Element. They see vulnerability. They're surprised. So I never heard that. Okay? And they see that you treat them as human. They see you are a human. Human.
Yeah.
Treat everyone like a human. Anything else you want to touch or bring up? Thank you very
thank
much
you
for
too.
your patience.
Thank you.
I hope we can have in future a type of discussion related to this topic, but not only, because this is a really interesting one.
Yes.
It's kind of has some psychological part in it, because we are all making these things, we're all doing this, we're trusting, but it is in the subconscious mind, I think. Yeah. Thank you, Fanny.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank
Pleasure to have you today. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. We're in time, right? Exactly.
Yeah.